Hi, I'm Coach Laura, and I'm going to show you some pro tapping tips. This is tapping tip number 3, and we're going to be working with the under the eye point. So it's the eye right underneath, the point right underneath the eye. And there's some pretty significant aspects to this point. And one of the reasons that I've chosen to separate it from some of the other points is to explain some of that to you. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. This is the number 3 pro tapping, and this is a significant point when it comes to sharing our experience with some particular aspects. So let me get my slideshow to work for you here. So I'm a pro EFT coach, practitioner, both of those. And what I do is sometimes I use EFT, but I use it in a special way. And I also teach it to people that have the ability to work with it themselves, and also do some parts that have a significant value to them. So let's take a look at what is some of the significance of the under the eye point. So here it is. It's right underneath the eyes. It's a part of the stomach meridian, and it's an end point of the stomach meridian. We have these little rivers that flow through us, and each of them is named after an organ that they govern. And the end point is located at the underneath the eye at the ocular bone. So right at the bone, if you just touch underneath your eye, you'll find a little bone there. And that is the actual point, is the bone. So here I am showing it to you with one finger pointing it out, its location. This is the stomach meridian. It's part of the earth element. It's very grounding and nurturing and supportive. It's a part of our sense of self. It is our deep levels of compassion and empathy for ourselves and for others. So like say you have a person that you're working with, or you yourself want to go a little bit deeper into these parts of ourselves that has to do with these elements of self-compassion, working with the sense of ourself, and it is called the eye of reflection. Well, you can see it's right underneath your eye. It's right directly underneath your pupil, and it's the reflection of your inner self and your inner level of empathy and compassion. And when it's out of balance, it's obsessive thoughts, those mental loops. You know how when you're working either with yourself or with somebody else, they just keep going around and around with the thought, and they can't get it out, and they can't get it out. It starts those worry wheels, those worry wheels that you just can't get out of. And those are very distracting, and also just general distractions. We can work with the stomach point meridian here. And also not accepting ideas. Well, we're kind of stuck in these loops, right? And it also has to do with, since this is a nurturing meridian, has to do with our support system and our compassion and our self-awareness. And when you see that we are lacking in that in a particular area or in general, this point becomes really significant in working with it. So the tip is to use both hands. Now you can see I have a picture here where you are using as many fingertips as you can on that point. And that's because we have a lot of power in those fingertips, and we want to utilize that electrical impulse right on that under the eye point. And you can use some rhythmic tapping. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Body likes rhythm. It's kind of an extra tip, not something you have to do. And people ask me a lot of times, how long do you tap? Well, it's 10 to 20 seconds a point. But if this is your issue that you're really working on, If this is a part of the element of balance that's applicable to what you're working with, I would use this point a little bit longer. At first, you want to talk about the imbalances that are occurring. So all this worry, all this worry, all this worry. And then after you've done a few rounds, you start to speak to the opposite of that. I'm feeling a lot of self-compassion. I'm able to jump out of my loops of thoughts. And you would speak more to the desires versus the conflicts. So you take a long, deep breath when you're tapping, and you can even circle down from the side of the eye point. The previous point before this was the side of the eye, and you just slide your fingers right under down and circle around. Now, what I have people do sometimes still is just circle the whole optic eye. And let me come back over here, and I'm going to come on and show you what I'm talking about here. So when you are coming down from the side of the eye, and you want to keep it a little more rhythmic, come down to the bottom of the eye, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 as you talk. You just kind of get a pattern going. Body really likes to respond to patterns, but that's really optional and high level because sometimes you cannot think, talk, and tap in a rhythm all at the same time. So that's when sometimes another thing to do is just tap on the acupressure points and just breathe. That also does a lot of benefit. So what I was talking about when circling, we start with the eyebrow point and we come around to the side of the eye and we come down and get both the end of the eyebrow and the side of the eye and catch number 2 to hear more about that, and then come around. And sometimes I just have people circle around the whole eye socket. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just circle around that whole eye and even just trace it. It's very soothing. Since we're wanting to soothe the nervous system, that is another pro tip to help you soothe that part of that worry, that cycle, that loop that we get stuck in so often is associated with that under the eye point. So play with that one, and we're going to keep going from here.